Hey everyone. Just giving a moment for everyone to join. Thank you all for making the time. Really, really excited to talk about and go through what we have to share.
I recognize some names. I'm being
Yeah,
nosy.
people are still filing in slowly but surely. So just moment more. Yeah, but while everyone is joining, I guess it's probably the first time you've seen me unless you've seen some of the videos on our social media. So let me introduce myself. I'm Mario. I'm part of the product marketing team here at Digitail. And today I'm joined by my colleague David, who is one of our product managers, and he's really the person you're here to see today. He'll be walking us through the new updates that are just around the corner. And we also have Alexander from our customer support team who will be in the Q&A chat throughout the session, answering any questions that you might have. And yeah, I think most people are here. But before we get started, I just wanted to mention a few housekeeping things to keep in mind. The webinar is being recorded and we'll send the replay to everyone who signed up. So if you need to revisit something later with your team, you'll be able to do that. And if you have any questions, please use the Q&A section instead of the chat. Does everyone see? David, are you able to see the Q&A section?
I can see.
Yeah.
Yes. Hey, Doc.
Yeah, we
Yes,
have.
I can see the QA
Hi,
session.
David. Awesome. All good. Um, so yeah, if you have any questions, please put it in the Q&A section. Alexander will be going through that as we're going, and at the end of the demo, we'll go through any questions that may not have been answered. And if we happen to run out of time, don't worry. We'll get to everyone, and we'll follow up by email if we didn't manage to answer everything live here. And yeah, with this out of the way, let me give you a bit of context on why we're here and what we're covering today. The team's been working hard behind the scenes, is the truth, to make Digitail an even better experience and to help your clinics improve the efficiency of how you provide care for your patients. And all of the updates and improvements you're about to see really share that one direction, a digital that's faster, smoother, and easier to use in your clinic day to day. But yeah, enough of me talking. I want to hand it over to David and ask David, what was driving these updates from the product side? How did we get here today?
Yeah. I mean, the real core answer here is honestly aligning more with actual clinic workflows to where, yeah, to where it doesn't feel like you are flexing to fit us, but the other way around. So this is that first kind of big giant step in that direction. Um, yeah, and you'll see it. I'm really excited to start showcasing this. Yeah, and jumping in, but really
Yeah,
at the core of it is to be aligned. Um, yeah, with your workflows.
yeah, awesome. Should we get into?
Yeah.
I know everyone's waiting for it. We can get in with the first update.
All right. And then we should be seeing our patient's dashboard. Are we seeing that, Mario?
Yes, yeah, we see
Okay.
patients.
Okay. So the first thing, and we can dive right in. The first thing we're going to start noticing, and this is more of that interface change, or interface update, is you're seeing some brighter colors. The nice part is if I start hovering on our navigation, you'll even start to see some new navigation here too. But I'm not even clicking here, so we're seeing these populate in real time. So think of this as an update that's more aligning with it feeling like an application or an app that's actually on your computer instead of you jumping into a browser. So think Spotify. So that's where we're starting to get a little bit snappier. If I click into, you're even seeing we've removed that left side panel is now been removed. So you're going to see some things have been moved around a little bit more, but this is again to align with our thinking. So if I was to click into communication, you're seeing that communication center. things will populate in. This is going to be that test account. Things that are populating a little bit faster, a little bit cleaner. Again, the goal is to feel more like an application in this space. The other thing you'll even start to notice, and this will be more aligned with, honestly, our multi-location clinics, is we're having a little bit more signaling or showcasing like what clinic we're currently under. So if I actually hover of it and give that a click, you can see I can quickly jump to my other locations that I belong to. The other nice piece here, and I know my multi-clinics are going to love this, is if I click to jump to that other clinic, what it's going to do, it's no longer going to bring me to that dashboard page where it starts over. It's always going to bring you back to where you were. So no longer like changing location and jumping to where you need to go. So I'm thinking of like reporting if I'm trying to compare two locations together. I can look at one, jump to the other. I'm on the same page. I don't need to go dashboard, reports, get back into it. So not only are we giving you um, that signal to say, hey, you're actually under this account, but we're maintaining where you are. Um, and then if we even start looking at how does that color coming to life, if I click into your profile, into administration, you are going to see on our main clinic account page, you have the ability to change colors to whatever you want, to whatever best fits how your branding is. So that will be in your preferences in that space as well. Um,
So
let's
in
see.
general,
Yeah.
what we're seeing is, I guess, less friction to where you need to go and a bit more customization. You know, if you're in multi-clinic groups, you can customize the color of each group so you can see at a glance where you are before you start making changes, right?
Exactly, correct. And then even being in this admin space, you're going to see that our admin panel has changed up a bit as well. So now these are sections that can be collapsed. They're going to be more aligned with communicating exactly what we're looking at. And then on top of this, we made sure that we added in a search function as well. So if you don't want to go scrolling up and down, you can quickly just search what you want. It'll highlight where it's matching, and then you can click to jump to that space. So that's been enabled um, as well with this interface update. Another fun little call out is if you're doing any of your Tails actions. So if I click Tails and I start a communication here, so if I was sure, we'll give that a spin, and I click off, and let's say I navigate to the calendar and then I jump back into it, it's maintaining. So no longer kind of losing your place. And this will also carry on with your dictation as well. So that is also being introduced with this interface update. Um, so
Great.
faster, makes a little bit more sense. Cleaned up the menu some, but we're excited about this one.
But
Yeah.
just so I'm clear, I think, you know, we've removed the left side menu, but nothing is actually removed, right? Everything is still there.
Correct. Yes. So before we had that left side panel, we had kind of honestly that redundant patients page. You're seeing a new patient request, so this is a little bit more uniform. Your communication now has its own place where it lives. So instead of us having that left side panel that was just kind of lingering and it came kind of redundant, we cleaned that up and just put that part of that core navigation. But yeah, everything remains. We're actually, not to give too much away, putting things in place to further lean into other updates that are coming.
Yeah,
Yeah, but no
awesome.
changes.
And David, just I noticed we used to have the clinic link on the left side menu. Where can we find that now?
Yep, good call. So Clinic Link has been moved into administration, and this was moved here mostly because the big areas we would see this come into place is really on setup. So when those accounts are first getting put together, you would see them, maybe our brand new clinics, they would be printing these out and having them available physical, or they'd be added to their website. So this has just been shifted more into an admin place, um, just based off of how you guys have been using it. So just to better, again, to better align with with how clinics are actually using these tools. Yep.
Awesome, David. Thank you very much for walking us through this. Should we have a look at the new soap templates?
Oh, my baby. Yes, we can start. Yeah, we can definitely lean into that. I've got it on
I know that's been
a
an
different
excitement
window.
for people.
Yeah. And we can start, I guess, if I'm envisioning kind of like where this started, again, it's all aligning with that core, with the core, like workflows. Again, aligning more with what you guys are actually doing and what you want from the system in the sense of like, this is how I manage my records. So it all more or less stemmed from there. So if I was to like paint a picture with this, it's, pretty much aligning your templates to your workflow. And then because of those, more or less opening up those customizations, then that being aligned with your records. Of course, how do I see it in my timeline? And then how does it look when I share it? Um, so templates to me is the core of this, and then all of the pieces had to follow behind in that journey. Again, to align more with your workflows. So if we jump into, of course, this guy has SOAP 2.0, our SOAP updates, and we jump into administration. The big thing you're going to notice, and this is when it will be activated on the account. We'll give more rollout dates towards the end of the webinar, but one of the things that you will notice with that update added is you will see with those who manage those templates and who has access to the space is you will see SOAP templates new. Again, just thinking about the numbers, we have about 200 plus clinics that have been using this SOAP update. And we've got a lot of feedback from them, but it's been in their hands for a couple of months at this point. But once we activate this update for your accounts, you will see SOAP templates new. And what this is actually doing is it's creating a mirror or a duplicate per se of your existing templates. So what this means is you're not losing anything. You're more or less getting a new version of your existing templates. And with those new versions, you can edit these. And honestly, you could even edit these old ones, and that information will be mirrored here. So just that'll be one change that comes here. But again, the main goal here was for us to not to make sure that we have the same information, we don't lose anything that is maintained. So if I jump, let's say, into the sick GI and we have our same prompts here, so no change. Probably the big fun part here is just we opened up search capability here. So the old version of this does not have that search capability. This does, so making it a little bit easier to find your templates, especially if this number gets into the hundreds, which I've seen a couple of times. So let's say we edit, things look a little bit different. But the fun part is we have a lot more flexibility here. What you're going to see is you have your main kind of navigation here on the left side. So I could quickly jump over to your subjective area. You're even seeing if I click into the title, I can change the name from here. Um, and they're even starting to see some of the advanced functionality that's coming with this. So, of course, right now you can predefine with your, we'll say version one or your current ones. But if I click within that field, and you're even starting to see it with this example, those bullet points, but you can start adding in your bullet points, linking tables. If I wanted to bold this, this can be bolded. Um, so this is being introduced with your update of the SOAP. Let's say for some reason we don't like the name reason for visit. You have the ability, and you're going to see on these fields to hit that cogwheel, think settings, and you're going to see label. And I could say, hey, I actually want to just call this like, why are you here? Or whatever, like it makes sense for the clinic. And then you're even getting access to internal description. Think of this as a tooltip for your staff. If you want to give them more signals to like, how am I supposed to use this field? You could say, please ask all like predefined questions. And I'll update this second so we can see it live in real time. And then field width, let's say I don't want this to take up all the full width of this. I could even say bring this down to half. And that last tool that you'll have here is mark it as private. What this is going to do is if I toggle this on, this will keep this field hidden from shareable functions. So if I mark this private and I go to share this record, because this field would be marked private, it would not be part of that shared document. So I'll say update. You'll see the width has changed. We have that title. I don't know anyone would use that, but there it is. And then you have a tooltip here too. Um,
David, sorry to break your flow. Could we zoom in a little bit just so everyone can see?
yeah, my super. Yeah, you got
I
it.
think it's fine. I'm just cautious that it might be a bit small. Awesome. That's great.
Okay, good call out. The other tools you're starting to see as well, and this may be something that's a little bit different. Documents has its own dedicated space. So this would be another area of change to be mindful of. Is certificates before was associated with the plan section. That does shift up into that document section. So everything document related, so think forms, your treatment plans even fall in this location, shifts up. So just be aware of that change. That's probably one of the three that I would be mindful of, other than one we'll cover here in a second. And then you're even starting to see the ability to add new subsections. Um, and you're seeing this treatment plan. So all of these like things that we see snapshots of, we call these, not to be too technical, more or less widgets. Think of them as they're just tools within tools, in the sense of we can manage this and we can say, hey, I actually want to completely remove this widget from here. So I could say remove, and you can see now it's completely gone. Still have my subsection that is my treatment plan, but because we removed that widget from this section, I have the ability to kind of add it back. So these widgets all belong currently to their own like section. So all of those core areas within that template. So I can simply just click into that space to add it back. And that's the same way it will happen with your fields as well. So if we're working within clinical examination and we end up removing this, you would then have the ability to add from the library and add that back. So you're seeing those tools come front and center with adding existing Digitail fields and existing Digitail groups. And I'll tease this a little bit. I maybe show a little bit more towards the end of the webinar, but right now this current update is working with current fields. Um, I do plan on showing you the custom work that's going to be coming as well, but I don't want to give too much away yet.
So I guess what we're seeing here, the goal of this is more customization. So we can shape the clinics can shape the templates around how they actually document, right? Rather than trying to fit a mold. So if they don't use particular fields, that could be removed, so they don't have to clutter up the screen, right?
Correct. So all of my doctors out there who are like, just give me one field and that's it. Technically, you could do that. Not that I'm always 100% behind it, but there's definitely some onboarding clinics where they're like, David, just give me one field. So this is just further aligning with that workflow. But yes, exactly. So again, further aligning, and this honestly is a building block for, again, I'll tease this later for further customization of what's coming down the road.
Hmm.
Okay. Let's see if I'm missing anything big. You do have a search functionality here too, but I think it's a good idea to say, okay, we have this um, GI field that we've worked with. We'll leave that, what did I do with it? That subjective. We'll leave this as is and we'll just save. The big call out here, and I'll show this when we're looking at the records, is if we start introducing the advanced formatting. So think your bolding and your bullet points that are more than likely lean us to want to use the new SOAP update out of the gate. But I'll show you kind of the why and where I'm coming from. So if we jump into a patient, I think I've been using Helga. Okay. So we are currently looking at a health card for Helga. In this example, um, with that SOAP update also comes a little bit more of a update to our timeline. So, of course, health card timeline, we're in our records section. This is where you're starting to see things have been cleaned up within this area. So you're noticing our billing information. Uh, Currently, this is more buried down below, but now it's front and center. You're even seeing the ability of being able to expand these all from one place. So we've made it easier instead of you needing to click through and say, see more. We've opened up the ability to say, hey, just expand all of these for me. And I did make sure that this reads in a clinical chronological fashion in the sense of it will read as you would expect all the way down from your initial subjective down into your recommendations slash your discharges. So that has been cleaned up. And then we no longer need to, yes, you can click to jump into the actual record. This will open into a new tab, but we did bring in a show full record. What this is going to do is open up the door of you no longer needing to jump to a record in a new tab for the sake of seeing all of the content within that space. So again, one click, no more new tab. You can see everything front and center. So get more of that content without having to jump to a new page. And then of course you have your same toolkit that you did before. So being able to see your invoices and your consent forms. You do have your, of course, deleting the record if you needed to from here, but this was a small we won't say small. It was a good more of a solid update around the timeline to further align with, again, you seeing information quickly. I'm thinking of our technicians where they're opening up multiple records and multiple tabs. We're just, again, less time seeing more. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're really just, I guess, trying to get the information that you need at your fingertips with less clicking around and finding things, right?
Yep, exactly. So let's open up a new record. So I'll use my add record. I'm just going to go without a template the first time. Um, what you're going to notice is we are currently in, oh, we're going to make a little preference change here because I'm noticing my flag has been removed. So getting ahead of the game here, but if let's say I wanted to dedicate and just fully lean into all things SOAP 2.0 or the SOAP update, I can turn a preference on and which is it currently is on, so it's forcing me straight into SOAP 2.0. But I wanted to make sure clinics had the functionality to say, hey, I don't want to lock in yet. So this would be, of course, off. I wonder if this is combining with, jump back into Helga. Okay, there we go. Okay, so once we jump into the account, you're going to see we have your V1 or the current version. But with that flag off, you will have the ability to jump into the new format. So the main reason we wanted to make sure you had that preference there was because we know change is hard, and we wanted to give you the ability to say, hey, we want to dip our toes in, get a little bit more comfortable. And then once we're ready, and I'll jump back to that preference here in a second, you can turn that preference on. And what that does is it removes this toggle function from your records. And then it has everyone using the new version of the SOAP. Um,
So essentially what this toggle does, David, is I guess for clinics who don't want to make the switch straight away, they can try out the new version, check it out, and also switch to the current version. So there isn't a forced change. Then once they're comfortable making the switch to the new, more streamlined experience, they can enable this in the preferences for all the clinics, right?
Correct. So this, yeah, this is account wide. It gives you the time to more or less slowly introduce to the team. I have some clinics that more or less made a game plan just to make sure everyone was on the same page, and then they would toggle on that preference. But this does let us slowly get in the water versus being forced to jump in, which sometimes uh, is a little hard. So yes, we've enabled that ability. You can switch to version 2, which I'm excited to show off here. So automatically we're looking a little bit different. You're going to notice that you have your navigation front and center at the top panel. You're also having some additional tools in the sense of you can save record if you want to do this manually. Again, anytime that you add any content within a field and click out, it's doing that save for us. We did also bring in a search functionality within this space. Of course, you have your comments, these are a little bit more front and center, but they exist with current ones. And then you have your PDF summary here as well. I'll show this off in a second once we have a little bit more content. And then you will see we've given a little bit more language to our statuses. So giving a little bit more of an idea of what's happening once we're in progress. Yep. Make sure we have visit type. So we're communicating a little bit more around there as well. But then if we are shifting into in progress, you're going to notice we've enabled a little bit more usage of our hospitalization toggle. So you no longer have to jump to the flow board to action this. You can do it with your in progress records as well. A common question I do get is why the draft? So we kept the draft here, and it did showcase in this example, but your records, once you're in your version 2, will start in progress, meaning for our clinics that have your auto logout sets, that means we're automatically triggering this in progress out of the gate. Um, so we kept the draft here just in case you are one of our clinics or our doctors who like to pre-open our records and they want to put it in a draft state. So that's why that's still here. Again, we kept a lot of definitions here. The big thing, probably change number 3 that we're showcasing here is that your finalize button is gone. This was removed mostly because it seemed to cause a lot of confusion. I remember being onboarding a couple of clinics, and it was this like very like had to slow down with any of the training sessions to be like, this is what this does, like that kind of wheel around what is finalized doing. Um, it did a lot of like little separate things, but we've bundled it up and made it a lot simpler. And we just found it easier to remove any point of confusion with that finalize. Um, if you're thinking about what about my templates, these maintain your normal functionality. We've just removed that, um, the need for the finalize to be involved to help
So
remove any
essentially,
confusion.
I guess the progress and status updates there do a similar function to Finalize, but just makes it a bit clearer to which stage you're at, and you can save manually, right? So, if a practice manager wanted saw the locked status, it's essentially doing the same job as the Finalize button, right? It's showing a clear signal that the record is complete and nothing more is being added.
Correct. And the nice thing is all of your core like permissions, all of that logic behind it remains. So as far as locking, locks this all nice and tightly. Those who have access to it have none of those permissions or those aspects of who can access what has been changed. So again, just making it more clear of what's happening. Um, but yeah. And then let's go ahead and loop in our GI template. You're going to see that visit type change because of that template. What you're even starting to notice is if any of those fields had anything predefined, that's where you're getting communication here. So this is saying, hey, use this template. With this template, there were sections that were already auto-completed or has content within them. It's even communicating like what fields are being impacted. So if we jump into that subjective, you're seeing like why are you here? You're seeing that tooltip. And then you're even seeing that predefined content with more of those uh, additional formatting. So I'm seeing my bullet points, I'm seeing your bolding. Um, all of that's kind of front and center. And let's say I add a charge. I got it, tails. Let's say I wanted to add an exam. What you're noticing is I can now, that updates when that item is added. So I can see everything kind of front and center. That top navigation stays here. Again, I can click to jump exactly where I want to go. It's nice and snappy. So I've been, yeah, I'm so excited to show these things just because it's been a pleasure to work with over the past couple months. All of your AI tools, those remain. They have their own little kit now. So those work as they currently do. No change here. They just have a little place that they where they live.
So, David, I saw you mentioned some bolding text, etc. So does that mean we can now make our text a bit easier to scan, I guess?
Yeah, so if it's something where, let's say you're setting up and for some reason that concern is like your biggest point, you can work in that space. You can use your keyboard shortcuts, of course. But yes, you can make this stand out a little bit more. So when you're scanning or technicians are scanning and they're like, hey, these are the main areas, or maybe I'm even working with my recommendations slash discharges, those scream out a little bit more to our pet parents. Exactly.
Awesome. And what happens with our existing templates if we create new templates?
So the existing yep, good question. So the biggest thing to be aware of here. So if we start adding bolding or these bullet points and we go looking and we can show it in real time here is if we lean heavy into the new formatting, and if I switch back over to V1, you're going to notice it's going to be showing us that formatting. So this may be one of the reasons that we go ahead and push straight into into the like locking in that preference because you're going to start seeing like, why do I have my asterisks here? And this is because that formatting is still backwards compatible, but you're going to start seeing the bolding functionality start to come into place here. The nice thing is, at the end of the day, your timeline and how you share records is using the new formatting. So even if you end up working in the space and you have these asterisks, because you bolded it in the new version, this won't look the way it does to the client, but it is something to be aware of if we start leaning heavy into the bolding functionality or the additional formatting. It'll start to make your older templates, at least when you're working with it, your appearance not look so nice, but it is something to be aware of if you're switching back and forth, especially if we start leaning into advanced formatting, which I hope we do, which just means we may come to that decision quicker than other clinics might.
David, we have a couple of questions in the Q&A section that are there. So if a template is selected after some of the sections have been filled, will this be overridden and delete those sections, or does the content remain in the SOAP?
Let's see. Okay. Yeah, so if we start filling in content and we change that template after the fact, and that field, let's say in that template itself, that field has been removed, technically the display of that information is gone with it. It's still there in the background, but let's say you were working in this note section and you changed the template, and in your template, this note section does not exist. Yes, this section would be gone, but the information lives in the background. So it would be one of those things where even at today's kind of point of view, um, being mindful of what template we're going to use. Maybe we don't know fully what's going on with the patient yet, so they may introduce um, something that we didn't expect. So I can see that happening in instances. But yeah, it doesn't delete the information; it more or less hides it. So if I was like, "Oh, I got rid of that section," and then you remove it, which you can't do with the current version, you would remove that template, and then the data still stays, or all of everything that you worked on still stays. It's just back now. So yeah,
So
the
if the fields were the same and you switch to a template that has the same field, the data will essentially remain there, right?
correct. Yes.
So, okay. Um,
Okay, that's the same.
just cautious for time, but we also have another question. Are we able to use the quick soap function with the new soap format? Can we demo this? Just a short snippet, I guess.
Yeah. So if we're going to use our quick soap, and let's say we start, I'll give it permission. Let's say we start talking about Helga. Helga's here for our core vaccines. Owner has reported some sneezing. Does have a history of allergies. XYZ due for senior lab work. So this still will work the same way. And honestly, this is where we start looking at, there's a lot of future things coming that I want to give away, but this still works the same way. Yeah.
So this is
And you're
this is
even seeing, I'm curious where's polling. Yeah, no big change here.
And do we still have the advanced options for the templates in the new version? If we're talking about the soap templates.
As far as our,
So we just have a question from Samantha. And the
are we
question
talking,
the question
it,
is, do we still have the advanced options for the templates in the new version?
and I'm assuming this is referring to the cogwheels that's associated with the fields that would make it filtered based off of like the sex of the patient or
We
the
can we can
age.
follow up via email
Yeah,
and find out a little bit more about the
okay.
request. And should we move on and take a look at the bulk sharing functionality?
Yeah, we'll follow up with Samantha. Yeah. So back on our health card view, what you're going to notice here as well is share records. I'd say we've simplified it to make it a little bit cleaner to work with. Um, and I wanted to get rid of like jumping through multiple pages at the same time. So what we're seeing right now is you have your filters on your right side, of course, to go searching for particular records. It's going to default to locked ones as well. And then you're even seeing options for what we're sharing. So right now, our individual pricing and total pricings is always defaulted on. I've shifted this to off. So as most of our users were always um, clicking needs to be turned off. So those have been defaulted to that way. And then the other thing you're also starting to notice is that, hey, it's telling me how many records were loaded. So if I wanted to expand this, I can say load all. And then from here, I could say click all documents. The other thing you could also do is, let's say I only wanted to send records. I could individually, of course, I can go through and click all of these if I wanted, but you have the ability to click only records if I wanted to go through that way. So a little bit quicker function, so you can quickly get in, grab what you want, and move along. You can download, of course, but then you can also email. This would send to your client, but you can also do your custom emails. Um, I still do have that 40 limit for your single files. Um, just based off of kind of some back end pieces, but just being upfront with that one. But you can add your own additional emails if needed. So think referral, insurance, those will be there. And then you can bring in your own custom messaging before sending as well.
So I guess what this means is you choose exactly which record you want to go in. It's not like all or nothing. You can choose. You have full control over what gets included, rather than going record by record. And I guess if you wanted to add a note before hitting send, you can do that, and it's one PDF with all the documents in the right order, right?
Exactly.
Mhm.
Correct. And then I'm seeing, I think that's Dr. Ryan, with the quick sharing of vaccines. Um, Teasing this up a little bit, this is something I'm working on this quarter. So I'm hoping to have an update there I'm hoping June, July, if not sooner. But this is more bulk sharing for your record. So less clicking, getting what you need to get, and then being able to send more cleanly. Oh yeah, one big call out here. This does send in the appropriate chronological fashion. So right now it goes from oldest to newest, and then coming out of clinics, I was like, I don't like that. So we've adjusted this for it to send based off the most recent to the oldest date that is included with this update as well.
So I guess anyone who's had to put together a full referral pack knows how much time this used to take. Great. Yeah. Okay, just having a look through the Q&A section here. And David, do you want to mention perhaps one thing about the bulk record and the um, discharge notes as well, just so we're aware?
Oh, yeah. So right now, discharge notes and current versions are not shared. Um, that's currently going to be the same way. We are looking into getting that function into this, but it wasn't as easy as I was hoping it was going to be, so it didn't make this update. So we are helping to make discharges align more with the communications. So if we do link your communications to your record, that flow would work. But currently, discharges will not be part of this update, but we we know we want it sooner than later.
Yeah.
Good call out.
Awesome. Yeah. And I guess I think it's worth mentioning before we move on to more questions, um, when this will become available. What is our rollout plan? And yeah, we're making these updates available progressively over the next 2 weeks, so we can make sure we can support you the best during this period. So when they arrive at your clinic, you'll first notice the new design the first time you log in. You will be able to toggle on and off version 1 and version 2 for the new SOAP documentation. Your existing records and templates will stay untouched, so you're not losing any information. It all stays the same. And when you're ready, you'll be able to enable the SOAP experience across the entire clinic in the preferences section. Yeah, it will be coming in the next 2 weeks. The reason being is it's quite a big change, so we want to make sure we do this progressively. And if any clinics that have any questions or want support, then we'll be able to provide that for you. And of course, as always, you have the help center there and our support team to be able to guide you and help you throughout the transition. Just having a look through some more of the questions that we have here.
Oh, good question, Nikki. Well, and I'll follow up with Amanda. The individual records.
Can you
So
read out the question
yeah.
so we can?
So is the record summary displaying the PDF remaining the same? So the single record PDF has been updated. This does align a little bit more with the functionality of our discharges note. So if I look at an individual PDF, and this is for the sake of sharing, you're going to see this content has been cleaned up a bit. And if I even wanted to share this individually, I could toggle this. So this is very similar to our discharges functionality, but this has been cleaned up. Um, yes, great question. And I don't have any sneak peeks for the vaccines yet, but I promise you I'm working on them. Um, and then just to call out, and then Mario, I may share the custom work that we've been working on just because I have something pulled up for them. But
Yeah.
again, to call out, if we're ready to lock in just using SOAP 2.0 or the SOAP updates record functionality across the board. And this, of course, is behind permission. So if I go into administration, what you're going to see under your clinic account, those preferences default to SOAP 2.0 only. So what this is going to do is it's going to remove that toggle to where they're only going to be seeing the newest version of the SOAP. Your timeline and the sharing functionality that comes with the update, just because we want to make sure if we end up using that additional advanced formatting, that that maintains throughout that journey. Just because I don't want our pet parents receiving uh, the asterisks and that kind of formatting on their side. Um, but once we're ready to lock in for the actual clinic side, again, underneath your administration, your clinic settings, those preferences, it's right in that first general section, default to SOAP 2.0 only. Um,
And David, I just wanted to ask, we have a similar question on the bulk sharing functionality. We have the limitation of adding a certain amount of records in the PDF, but what if we were sending this via email and sharing a link?
it's still, yeah, it's something that I've been looking more into, that we've been running into. So it's still anything beyond 40 at this point is still separately.
Hmm.
It is something that I've been looking into to solve. But it's the current limitations that we're still dealing with, to how to efficiently solve without slowing everything down, because that's what we want to avoid, and that's the main uh, route uh, beyond that limitation.
Yeah. Okay. I think let's see if we have anything. Do you want to just have a look through the Q&A as well?
Yeah, yeah, because we'll follow up with Samantha, and then
Sure.
vaccines. I don't have anything to share yet, and then I know. I think that's all the ones I'm seeing.
Okay. Do you want to? I know you wanted to preview something that's going to come on the back of this e update being available.
Let's see if I let's. This is me doing something on the fly, so don't judge. But I promise we're gonna love it.
It's all about transparency, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, so I was like, it logged me out, so I'll log back in. Okay. So this, for transparency's sake, this is one of my testing environments, but I just want to show you kind of what we're thinking next step for our templates. So you can see I've been playing um, in this space, but what we're going to start noticing. So we just looked at the template here. Um, what you're going to start noticing are a couple of new things. You are seeing your drag and drop functionality. I may get this out sooner, but that's coming front and center. Like I can drag my sections completely around. The other fun part that's coming is if you look in this top right corner, you're seeing custom items manager. What this is actually referring to is your ability to create your own fields um, uh, at any point. So I could say add custom. You're going to see multiple variations. This will be my initial versions of what's coming. You can have your drop down. Again, label is going to be the name of it. Then you could have your own values. You could even color these values and loop these in. So this is what's coming next for our templates, in addition to these custom fields, and you'll be able to edit the existing ones, um, enabling quick soap for these fields as well. So what this means is moving beyond the current static fields that Tails quick soaps goes to, and further further leaning into that custom workflow. So again, creating custom fields, more functionality with the templates, aligning more with your workflows, and then really starting to flex out what Tails can do. As far as if we talk about fecal testing, it loads that section in. So just leaning more into this being your playground versus you guys just living in our space is
Yeah.
the real goal.
So this takes the customization even a step further, right?
Correct. And honestly, was the main in my eyes, this was the main goal for setting up these foundations. Yep.
Mhm. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much, David, for sharing this with us. And yeah, I just want to double down on when the clinics can expect this new soap experience to come. And by the 20th of April, every clinic should essentially have this rolled out and available for them to test out and start using and benefiting from it. And I guess to close off, everything you saw today was really built around that one idea that it should be a lot easier, take less effort for to use Digitail every single day. And we hope when these updates reach your clinic, you really feel that. And if yeah, we didn't get to your question, to in the chat or to answer it here live, we'll follow up with you via email. And yeah, David, do you have anything else that you want to add?
Um, no, you did it like you did it perfectly. No, I'm just excited to finally get this out. For all the feedback and kind of the work that's in behind it. Yeah, like you said, it's very much built with you guys in mind, like in the sense of it's yeah, I don't think there's anything of value that I can add to your statements. No, I mean it's very you guys focused, that's what it should be. And I think if I've ever worked with any of you guys that are out there, hopefully that's you're seeing that come to life now that I get to be in this space and bring these things to life for you guys.
Yeah. And yeah, just wanted to mention as well that thank you, everyone, for sharing your feedback. We really build all of these features based on what we hear back from you. So any feedback is good feedback. It means we get to build a software that's truly useful to you. So yeah, thank you very much, and thanks everyone for joining. I hope you have the rest of your day.
All right. Bye guys. Thank you.
Thank you.